3 days before my wedding, my mother slid a folder across her kitchen table and said, "I moved your house where Marcus can't touch it." I looked at her like she had started speaking another language. "You did what?" My father, James, sat at the end of the table with his coffee and the morning paper, but he was not reading. He had the sports page open upside down. That was my first clue. This was not a small family conversation. It was Wednesday morning in Charlotte. I had stopped by before work because Mama said she wanted to give me my grandmother's pearl earrings for the ceremony. I was getting married on Saturday. My dress was hanging in my closet. The caterer had called twice about salmon. My dining room table was covered in little boxes of favors I never wanted in the first place. I thought I was picking up earrings. Instead, my mother gave me a folder with my house address on the first page. My house. The little brick place in Noda where I had lived for almost 12 years. My grandmother left it through the Walker Family Trust. I paid the taxes. I paid the insurance. I paid for the roof after that hailstorm in 2019. I had sanded the porch railings myself one August when it was so hot the paintbrush felt like it was melting in my hand. The house was mine in every way that mattered to my heart. Legally, it was more complicated. Mama had worked around closing documents and title offices for over 30 years. She understood deeds the way some women understand church gossip. She could look at a paper and tell you who was about to regret signing it. I could not. So when she tapped the folder and said she had changed temporary control of the property into my father's name, I felt heat run up my neck. "You transferred my house without asking me." I protected it. "Those are not the same sentence." Daddy lowered the paper. "Renee." "No, don't Renee me. I am 51 years old. I have been married, divorced, raised myself back up, and kept that house standing. You cannot just move things around like I am 17. Mama did not flinch. That was one thing about Marlene Walker. She could sit inside a storm and still butter toast. "Marcus asked me a question last week," she said. "Marcus asks questions. He is friendly. He asked if the house would be put in both names after the wedding." I stopped. "He asked you that?" "Yes." Maybe he was making conversation. Then he asked if it was paid off. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. Mama kept going. "He asked about the size of the basement, too, whether it could be finished, whether the zoning would allow a small apartment." People talk about homes. Darlene called me Monday. Darlene was Marcus's mother. She was 74, widowed, and living in a condo in Concord that she complained about every time it rained, every time the elevator acted up, and every time the neighbor upstairs moved a chair. What did she want? Mama looked at Daddy, then back at me. She said after the wedding, once everything was combined, you would not have to carry that big house by yourself anymore. I frowned. What does that even mean? That is exactly what I asked her. And she changed the subject. For a few seconds, the kitchen was quiet except for Daddy stirring coffee he had not tasted. I looked at him. "And you went along with this?" Daddy folded the paper carefully. "Your mother asked the attorney what could be done fast." "That is not an answer," he sighed. "It is the safest one I have." I stood up so fast the chair scraped the tile. "This is crazy. Marcus is not marrying me for a house." Mama's face softened a little. "I hope not. He helped you after your knee surgery. He fixed Daddy's garage door. He drove all the way across town when I had a flat tire on I-85. We have been together 4 years. He has never rushed me." "I know. You are making him sound like some con artist." "I did not say that." "Then what are you saying?" She folded her hands on the folder. "I am saying wait 3 days before you tell him about the paperwork." I stared at her. "You want me to test my fiancé?" "No. I want you to watch him." "That is worse." "Maybe." "Mama, if nothing happens, I will apologize to both of you. I will make dinner. I will stand in your kitchen and say I was wrong." "You don't get to play detective with my marriage." "No," she said, "but you get to decide whether you are walking into one." That sentence followed me all the way to my car. By 6 that evening, I was still angry. The problem was that anger did not push Mama's words out of my head. It made them louder. I was supposed to meet Marcus at my house before our final appointment with the wedding coordinator. The florist moved our call, so I got home 20 minutes early. Marcus's truck was in my driveway. Darlene's silver Buick was parked behind it. I came in through the side door and set my tote on the mudroom bench. The kitchen window was open because Marcus always forgot the air conditioning was on and liked to let the house breathe. I heard voices from the screened porch. Darlene said, "How long will it take?" Marcus answered, "For what?" "To get your name on it." My hand froze on the grocery bag. There was a pause. Then Marcus said, low and calm, "Not before Saturday. That would spook her." My ears started ringing. Darlene said, "I already told the realtor I could be flexible with closing." "Mama, I told you. Give me time." "I am giving you time, but I need to know where I am going after the honeymoon." "The guest room is fine for a while." "A while?" "We will figure it out." "And Lionel?" "Lionel is not the problem." "You said the basement could work if he needed it." "I said if he needed it. He has his own place." "What about your debt?" Marcus sighed. "Once Renee gets used to thinking like a wife, we will handle it." "With the house?" "There is at least 200,000 in equity sitting there." My fingers loosened around the grocery bag. A lemon rolled across the mudroom floor and stopped against my shoe. Then Marcus said, almost gently, "Renee has been alone so long, she thinks every decision has to be hers. After the wedding, that will change." I backed out of the mudroom without breathing. 10 minutes later, I was sitting in the parking lot behind a Harris Teeter 2 blocks away, both hands wrapped around the steering wheel. My heart was beating so hard I felt it in my teeth. My phone rang. Marcus. I let it ring twice before I answered. "Hey, beautiful," he said. "Where are you?" For 4 years, I had never lied to him on purpose. I looked down at my engagement ring. "Still at work. Don't stay late." 3 more days and you are stuck with me." I stared through the windshield at a woman pushing a cart full of groceries in the rain. For the first time, that joke did not feel sweet. It felt like a warning. If you are listening from another city, state, country, or if it is late at night where you are, put it in the comments. I still remember sitting in that parking lot while ordinary people walked past with bread and milk, and my whole future changed without making a sound. That night, I did not sleep. Marcus stayed over because, according to him, soon it will all be one house anyway. He said it while brushing his teeth. Before Wednesday, I would have smiled. After that porch conversation, I stood at the bathroom door and felt something inside me step back. At 4:22 in the morning, I was awake, staring at the ceiling fan. Marcus slept on his side with one hand under the pillow. He looked peaceful. That made me angry, then sad, then angry again. I wanted an explanation. That sounds foolish now, but it is true. When you love someone for 4 years, your heart does not switch teams in one night. Part of me still wanted Marcus to give me a normal answer. I wanted him to say Darlene misunderstood. I wanted him to say he had debt but was embarrassed. I wanted him to say he never meant to pressure me. I wanted my mother to be wrong. Thursday evening, I gave Marcus a chance. We were eating takeout at the kitchen island. The island was covered with wedding things, votive candles, printed menus, a box of tiny gold ribbons I had tied until my fingers cramped. I looked at him over my container of lo mein. "What do you think changes with the house after we get married?" He paused with his fork halfway up. "What do you mean?" "Financially, legally, anything." He set the fork down. "Nothing." "Nothing?" "Renee, it is your house." I watched his face. He looked honest. That was the worst part. "I would never ask you to put my name on something your grandmother left you," he said. "We are getting married, not taking inventory." My chest loosened. I hated myself for it, but it did. "So you don't care about the deed?" He smiled. "I care about you. The deed cannot make sweet potato pie or argue with me about thermostat settings." I laughed. A real laugh. Then I felt sick because I understood how badly I wanted to believe him. The next morning, Darlene stopped by while I was on the phone with the bakery. She walked right past me into the hallway like she already lived there. I followed her. She was standing in my guest room with a small notebook in her hand, looking at the closet. "What are you doing?" She jumped a little. "Oh, just looking." "At what?" "Storage." "For what?" She smiled too quickly. "You know how condos are. No space anywhere." "Darlene." She closed the notebook. "After Saturday, we are all family." There it was. Not an answer. A blanket. People use family like that sometimes. They throw it over a question and hope you stop seeing the shape underneath. "Did Marcus tell you that you were staying here?" Her face changed. "He said you knew." "I did not." She looked toward the window. "Well, I am sure he meant to talk to you." "That is not the same as me knowing." "Renee, I sold my condo." I stared at her. "You what?" "It is under contract." "Based on what?" Her mouth tightened. "Based on my son telling me I would not be alone." I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "Darlene, you need to talk to Marcus. He is trying to take care of everybody." "No," I said. "He is making promises with my front door." She left 20 minutes later with her notebook pressed against her chest. I stood in the guest room after she was gone and looked at the wall where my grandmother's quilt hung. That room had held my nieces during summer visits. It had held my best friend after her surgery. It had held boxes from my divorce when I could not look at them yet. It had never been a room someone else could give away. Marcus left for work around 10. He had been carrying a brown leather wedding binder all week. Receipts, song lists, vendor numbers, or so he said. He set it on the kitchen counter while he took a call, then forgot it when he left. I did not open it. I want to be clear about that. I was not ready to become a woman who searched a man's things. Even after everything, some part of me still wanted a rule to hold on to. But when I moved the binder to wipe coffee off the counter, the latch was not snapped. It slipped open and papers slid across the tile. The top page landed face up. Home Equity Pre-Qualification Worksheet. My address was typed under the property line. Estimated value, $482,000. Potential credit line, $192,000. Purpose, debt consolidation and improvements. Borrower, Marcus Dawson. Co-borrower section, Renee Walker, handwritten note, after marriage. I sat down on the floor. There was no signed application. No money had been taken. No bank had approved anything. Legally, maybe nothing had happened yet, but the plan was sitting in my kitchen in black ink. He knew he needed me. That meant he was waiting for the moment I would be easiest to pressure. I drove straight to my parents' house with the paper in my purse. Mama opened the door and took one look at my face. She did not say, "I told you so." That is why I did not fall apart until I reached the kitchen. I pulled off my engagement ring and set it beside the napkin holder. Then I cried. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady, ugly tears I kept wiping away with a paper napkin that scratched my nose. Daddy sat across from me. "I really thought I was done starting over," I said. Neither of them interrupted. I know 51 is not ancient, but I wanted boring. I wanted somebody next to me at church dinners. I wanted somebody to text when the water heater made noise. I wanted someone there when you two got older. I wanted Christmas mornings that did not feel like I was visiting other people's lives. Mama reached for my hand. I pulled it back. Not because I hated her. I just needed 1 minute where nobody tried to fix me. "I feel stupid." Daddy shook his head. "Trusting a person is not stupid. It feels like it. Then do not let shame make the next decision." That stayed with me. That afternoon I called Monica Graves, the lawyer who handled my divorce. Monica had a dry voice and a gift for explaining awful things plainly. I showed her the worksheet. She read it twice. "Marriage would not automatically make Marcus an owner of your house," she said. "I know. And he cannot borrow against property he does not own." "Then what is this?" She tapped the paper. "A plan that still requires your yes." That sentence landed hard. Monica leaned back. "The danger is not that he gets the house by magic on Saturday. The danger is that he seems to be building pressure for Sunday." Pressure, that was the word. Not theft yet, not fraud yet. Pressure. The kind that starts with, "We are married now," then turns into, "Why don't you trust me?" Then, my mother sold her condo. Then, I have debt I was embarrassed to tell you about. Then, families help each other. Then, everybody is counting on you. Monica told me to secure my documents, change passwords, keep copies of every message, and sign nothing related to the house. No dramatic stunts, she said. No secret recordings if you do not know the law. No public posts. Just stop giving access to people who have not earned it. I was walking to my car when my phone buzzed. A text from Darlene. I opened it. I signed the closing papers this morning. Tell Renee after the honeymoon. I cannot exactly show up with boxes if she does not know I am coming. I stared at it. 10 seconds later, the message vanished. Deleted. Too late. I had already taken a screenshot. For the first time, I understood this was not just talk on my screened porch. Darlene had already made real decisions based on a promise Marcus had made with my life. Then I remembered something else from the porch. Lionel can use the basement if he needs it. Lionel was Marcus's son. He was 32, a quiet man with a little girl and a townhouse in Matthews. I had helped him update his resume when he applied for a supervisor position. I sent his daughter birthday books every year. We were not close, but we were kind. I called him from my car. He answered on the 4th ring. Hey, Miss Renee, everything okay? Can I ask you something strange? In this family? Probably. Normally, I would have laughed. Did your father tell you that you could move into my basement? Silence. Then Lionel said, What? I am serious. I bought a townhouse. I know. In Matthews. I know that too. Dad helped me carry the sofa upstairs. I know. Then why would I need your basement? I closed my eyes. Because I heard him say you could use it if you needed it. Lionel went quiet. When? Wednesday night. Another silence. That sounds like Dad. The way he said it made me sit still. What does that mean? He let out a slow breath. He tells people what makes the moment easier. Lionel. When I was a kid, he used to do it to my mom and Grandma Darlene. He would tell Grandma that Mom already agreed she could stay with us. Then he would tell Mom that Grandma had nowhere else to go and already packed. By the time they were in the same room, saying no made somebody look cruel. My hand tightened around the phone. Did he tell you anything about his debt? He said you offered to help. I laughed once. It sounded sharp and strange. I did not. I figured you knew. How much is it? Lionel did not answer right away. I don't know exact numbers, maybe 150, maybe more. Bad business loan, tax stuff, some personal guarantees. He said after the wedding you two would refinance some things together. I looked out at traffic moving past Monica's office like the world had not just shifted under my feet. I never said that. I believe you. Those 3 words almost made me cry again. Lionel said, I am sorry. I should have asked questions when he said it. You are not responsible for your father's promises. Neither are you. That was the first person outside my parents and Monica who said it plainly. That night, Marcus came home with Thai food and yellow roses. For my almost wife, he said. I wanted to throw them in the sink. Instead, I put them in a vase because I still did not know what else to do with a love that had gone bad right in front of me. Before dinner, he stood in the doorway and said, I have been thinking about what you asked. My heart kicked. About the house? Yes. He walked over and took my hands. I do not want my name on it. Not now, not later. You had that house before me. You should always know it is yours. He looked so sincere. For one dangerous minute, I almost told him everything. About Mama, about Darlene's text, about Lionel, about the worksheet. Then he kissed my forehead. I love you, Renee, not your square footage. My phone buzzed on the counter after he went upstairs to change. Lionel had texted. I remember Dad saying months ago, Renee won't change anything before the wedding. Afterward, she will come around. I read it twice, then a 3rd time. Marcus knew he needed my agreement. He was not confused. He was waiting. I sat in the kitchen until the Thai food went cold. Then I called Monica, then my parents, Then the officiant, the legal ceremony was cancelled. The marriage license would not be signed. There was one thing I did not cancel. The rehearsal dinner. 28 people from both families were already coming Friday night. The private room was paid for. The food was paid for. The crab cakes were, according to the invoice, non-refundable and apparently made of gold. Mama asked, "Renee, what exactly are you planning?" I looked at Darlene's screenshot. Marcus has been giving everybody a different story. I am going to tell one. Then I called Danielle, the wedding coordinator. "The wedding is cancelled." There was a long silence. "Okay," she said carefully, "but I am keeping the rehearsal dinner." There was a much longer silence. Finally, Danielle said, "I have coordinated weddings for 19 years and I need you to know that this is new. Do we still get the crab cakes? They are paid for. Then we are eating crab cakes." She paused. Respectfully, I am both concerned and curious. That made me laugh for the first time in 2 days. Friday morning, the day before the wedding that was no longer happening, I woke up at 4:38. For a few seconds, I forgot why my chest hurt. Then I remembered. I had canceled my own wedding, and Marcus did not know. I lay in bed staring at the blue numbers on the clock. I kept reaching for my phone, typing, "We need to talk before tonight," then deleting it. Part of me still wanted to make it smaller. Maybe I could confront him in the kitchen. Maybe he would finally tell the truth. Maybe we could cancel quietly and tell people we needed time. Then I pictured him looking straight at me and saying he did not care about my house. That was not embarrassment, that was practice. By 8, I was at my kitchen table with a calculator, a legal pad, and coffee I barely drank. Canceling a wedding 3 days before the date is expensive. The photographer refunded part. The florist kept the deposit. The venue kept more than I liked because food had already been ordered. The honeymoon was worse. Airfare fees, hotel deposit, excursions I had been excited about. By the end, I was looking at a loss of about $8,200. I stared at that number for a long time. $8,200 could replace a water heater. It could pay down a credit card. It could buy a good vacation that did not involve crying in a childhood bedroom. Instead, I had bought chairs people would not sit in and flowers for a wedding that would not happen. That is when I finally cried hard, not because of the money, because I had liked the future. I had liked picturing Marcus beside me on the flight to Aruba, complaining about airport coffee. I had liked imagining boring Sunday mornings, 2 coffee mugs in the sink, his jacket on the chair even though I hated that. I had liked thinking I was done being brave by myself. Around 11, Darlene showed up with 2 fabric swatches. I opened the door and almost laughed. She held up a beige square. "What do you think?" "About what?" "The guest room. I thought we could warm it up." "My guest room?" Her smile froze. "Yours and Marcus's. Who invited you to stay in it?" She shifted the swatches from one hand to the other. "Marcus said you knew." "I did not." "After tomorrow, we are family. Tomorrow is not a moving truck." Her face hardened. "You are making this sound ugly." "No, Darlene, it was ugly before I named it." She left without the swatches. I found them on the porch chair later and threw them in the trash. An hour later, Lionel called. "I talked to Grandma." "How did that go?" "Badly." "I am sorry." "Don't be. She admitted Dad told her you knew she was moving in." "Did she believe him?" "She wanted to." That was the truth neither one of us liked. Darlene had been lied to. She had also liked the part of the lie that gave her a room in my house. People can be manipulated and selfish at the same time. Both can be true. At 4, Marcus came home to change for the rehearsal dinner. He looked handsome. That made everything worse. Dark suit, white shirt, the tie I had helped him choose 6 months earlier because he said every blue tie made him look like a bank manager. He found me standing in the bedroom doorway. "You okay?" "Just tired." "Tomorrow this will all be worth it." I watched him button his cuff. I needed one last thing from him. Not because it would change my mind, but because some stubborn part of me wanted to know if he could tell the truth when the door was wide open. "Marcus." "Before tomorrow, is there anything financial you have not told me?" His face barely moved. No. Any debt I do not know about? Nothing serious. Did you tell your mother she could move into my house? That one hit. Not hard enough for someone else to notice, maybe. But I had loved him 4 years. I saw the little pause. Where is this coming from? Did you? I told her we would help if she ever needed us. That is not what I asked. He sighed. Renee, she is my mother. Did you tell Lionel he could use my basement? Now his mouth tightened. What is going on with you? One more question. Have you made plans involving my house without asking me? He looked directly at me. No. No hesitation. No shame. Just no. I nodded. Okay. He relaxed almost at once, like he believed the lock had clicked back into place. Then he kissed my forehead. Wedding nerves. I let him think that. Before the dinner, I stopped at my parents' house. Mama met me in the hallway. Whatever happens tonight, she said, I am sorry you are going through it. We are going to talk about what you did with the house, too. She looked surprised. Renee, I was trying to protect you. I know. But being right about Marcus does not make every choice you made right. She went quiet. Daddy, from the living room, suddenly became very interested in the remote control. Smart man. At 6:44 that evening, I walked into the private dining room of a restaurant downtown. 28 people were already there. Marcus's sister waved from across the room. Darlene had a glass of wine in her hand. Lionel sat near the far end, shoulders tight. Mama kept looking at me and then looking away. Daddy stared into his iced tea like it might give him instructions. Marcus came over and took my hand. You ready? I looked at him. I will be. Inside my purse were Darlene's screenshot, the home equity worksheet, the printed venue cancellation, and the small velvet box for my engagement ring. There was not going to be a wedding the next day. Everyone in that room was about to find out. Except Marcus. He still thought we were there to celebrate him. The first 20 minutes were painfully normal. People ordered drinks. Someone complained about parking. Marcus's sister told a story about him sneaking into the house after curfew as a teenager and getting caught because he knocked over a broom. People laughed. I laughed too. That was the strangest part. Your whole future can be lying in pieces inside your purse, and somebody is still asking you to pass the butter. Marcus leaned close. You are quiet. Long week. He squeezed my hand. Then Darlene stood with her wine glass. I want to say something. My stomach turned. Marcus smiled up at her. Darlene talked about second chances and family and how happy she was that Marcus had found a woman with such a steady home. I watched Lionel close his eyes. Then she said, Tomorrow is not just 2 people becoming one, it is 2 families coming under one roof. Marcus's smile disappeared. Darlene, I said. My voice was not loud, but she stopped. I stood. Actually, that is a good place for me to say something. Marcus leaned toward me. Renee, not now. Now is exactly when. The room went quiet. I heard a fork clink in the main dining room outside. I took one breath. There will not be a wedding tomorrow. For 1 second, nobody reacted. Then Marcus laughed once. What are you talking about? I canceled the ceremony. His chair scraped back. You did what? Darlene sat down slowly. Marcus lowered his voice. If you are upset, we can talk privately. I tried that this afternoon. His face changed. I reached into my purse and pulled out the screenshot. Darlene, yesterday you sent me a message that was meant for Marcus. She went pale. I read it slowly enough for the table to hear. I signed the closing papers this morning. Tell Renee after the honeymoon. I cannot exactly show up with boxes if she does not know I am coming. Darlene said quickly, Marcus told me you agreed. Marcus snapped, Mama, stop. I looked at her. Did I ever tell you that you could move into my house? Her mouth opened. No answer came. Oh, thank you. Then I placed the home equity worksheet on the table. Marcus reached for it. I moved it back. This was in your binder, my address. A possible credit line for $192,000, debt consolidation. That was research. With my house. I never signed anything. I know. Then what are you accusing me of? Planning around my yes before you ever asked for it. His eyes hardened. That is ridiculous. How much debt do you have? That is nobody's business. You made my house part of the business. That was when Lionel spoke. Dad. Marcus turned. Stay out of this. Lionel did not move. Tell her. Lionel. You told me Renee offered to help you refinance after the wedding. People started looking at Marcus. I said we were discussing options. Lionel shook his head. No, you said she offered. You also told Grandma she could move in. You told me I could use the basement if I needed it, like Renee had already agreed. Darlene looked at Marcus. You did tell me she knew. I was trying to help everybody, Marcus said. Lionel gave a sad little laugh. No, you were doing that thing again. The room got still in a different way. Marcus stared at him. Lionel said, You tell one person the other already agreed. Then you tell the other person it is already decided. You did it to Mom. You do it to Grandma. Now you are doing it to Renee. That is not what happened. It is exactly what happened. Marcus slapped his palm on the table. We were going to be married. Married people help each other. I looked at him. Married people ask each other. I was going to ask. Before or after your mother moved in? His face went red. Then he said the sentence that ended whatever softness I had left. You don't even understand how any of this works. I couldn't just take your house. You are right. That surprised him. You could not take it. You needed me to hand it over and call it love. No one spoke. I explained the trust, my grandmother, and the fact that the house had never been as simple as Marcus assumed. I explained that after he asked Mama questions about the deed, she had the attorney prepare a temporary protection. Marcus slowly turned toward my father. You let your wife move a whole house because she did not trust me? Daddy took a slow sip of tea. I taught 8th grade for 36 years, he said. I have heard better plans from boys trying to explain missing homework. Somebody at the table made a sound that might have been a laugh if the room had been less tense. Darlene suddenly said, Where am I supposed to go? I looked at her. You sold your condo because Marcus said I invited you somewhere. Did you ever ask me? She looked down. Marcus leaned toward me. Renee, please. We need to talk alone. I asked you alone. I asked about debt. I asked about your mother. I asked whether you had plans for my house. You looked me in the eye and said no. I opened the velvet box and took out my ring. I did not throw it. I placed it beside his water glass. I am not canceling this wedding because you owe money. I am canceling it because you decided my answer before I ever gave one. Marcus's sister spoke from across the table. You could have handled this privately. That hurt more than I expected. I wanted to defend myself, but I only said, I tried. Then I sat down. The strangest thing happened after that. Nobody knew what to do with the food. Danielle appeared in the doorway looking like she wanted to melt into the wall. I looked at her. What happens to the cake? She blinked. It is paid for. Send half to my parents and half to the fire station. Lionel muttered. That is a lot of cake. I laughed. I could not help it. Outside, Marcus followed me into the parking lot. His anger was gone. Now he looked scared, which was somehow worse. Renee, please, I can explain. I turned around. Okay. He looked surprised. Were you going to tell me about the debt before the wedding? He hesitated. Were you going to ask me before you told your mother she could live in my house? Nothing. Were you ever going to tell me before asking me to use my home to fix your problems? He opened his mouth. No words came. After 4 years, I finally understood that silence can be an answer. Saturday morning, the morning I was supposed to get married, I woke up in my childhood bedroom at 6:12. For about 5 seconds, I forgot. Then I saw the wedding dress hanging on the back of the door. Everything came back. The restaurant, Marcus's face, Darlene's text, the ring beside his water glass. I rolled onto my side and pulled the blanket over my head like I was 16 again. I had thought truth would make me feel clean. It did not. It made me feel empty. I cried harder that morning than I had all week, not because I wanted Marcus back, because I missed the future I had imagined. There was supposed to be coffee downstairs, Mama fussing with my hair, Daddy pretending he had allergies, cousins texting me not to be late. Instead, my phone filled with messages from the man I was no longer marrying. First, please call me. Then, you misunderstood. Then, Mama pressured me. Then, I was embarrassed about the debt. By noon, I thought married people were supposed to share everything. That was the one I answered. Sharing starts with asking. Then I blocked him. The flowers came at 2. White roses, the same roses I had argued about with the florist. Mama looked at the card and said, "Do you want me to throw them away?" I shook my head. "No, give them to Mrs. Daniels." Mrs. Daniels across the street had just come home from knee surgery. She received 36 very expensive roses and never asked why. That made her one of the wisest women in the neighborhood. The money part came next. On Sunday, I sat at my parents' kitchen table adding up what I had lost. Venue fees. Photographer, florist, airfare penalties, hotel deposit, dress alterations. It came to a little over $8,200. Monica called that afternoon to check on me. "I wasted $8,000, I said. "No," she said, "you lost $8,000. That feels like lawyer math. It is human math. Wasting it would have been marrying him to make the loss feel smaller. I knew she was right. It still hurt. Real life does not refund you because you finally make the right choice. Not everybody thought I had made the right choice either. A mutual friend named Simone texted me Monday. "I understand being upset, but doing that in front of his family was cruel. You should have talked to Marcus privately." I stared at that message for 10 minutes. I started typing. I wrote about the porch, the worksheet, Darlene's text, Lionel's call. Then I deleted all of it. For the first time in my life, I decided I did not need every person to agree with me. That was harder than blocking Marcus. Lionel called Wednesday evening. "You doing okay?" "Depends what hour you ask." He laughed softly. "Same over here." Darlene's condo situation had gotten messy. She had delayed closing and found temporary housing with a friend from church. Lionel made one thing clear. "She is not moving in with me." "Good." I feel terrible saying that. "Why?" "Because she is my grandmother." "That does not make your spare bedroom public property." He laughed, then got quiet. I spent years finding out Dad volunteered me after he had already promised people things. What changed? I got tired of being informed about my own decisions. I understood that more than I wanted to. A week after the canceled wedding, I sat with Mama at her kitchen table. Daddy left to check the mailbox and stayed gone long enough to read every envelope in Charlotte. Mama said, "At least the house is safe now." "We still need to talk about that." She looked tired. "Renee, after everything that happened, you know I was right about Marcus." "Yes." "Then why are you still upset with me?" "Because you made a decision about my home without talking to me." "I was trying to protect you." "I know." "He could have pressured you." "I know that too." She started to answer, but I held up my hand. "Mama, I am not saying you meant to hurt me. I am saying I need you not to decide for me." For a while, neither of us spoke. Then she looked down at her coffee. "You are right." Those 3 words mattered, more than I expected. Over the next few weeks, Monica worked with the family attorney to clean up the temporary paperwork. I will not pretend I became an expert on trusts. I did not. What mattered was simple. The final structure put control with me. Not Mama, not Daddy, not a future husband, me. For years, I called it my house because I lived there, paid for it, fixed it, cried in it, laughed in it, and built a life inside it. Now the paperwork finally matched the truth. 2 weeks later, I got a phone call that almost ruined my coffee. A woman from a moving container company asked if I was ready to accept delivery at my address. Delivery of what? A storage container under Darlene Dawson's name. I closed my eyes. Of course. Ma'am, the woman said, are you able to accept it? For one childish second, I wanted to say, sure, leave it in Marcus's imagination. Instead, I said, no, please do not deliver that to my address. I gave her Darlene's forwarding number and hung up. Then I laughed so hard I had to sit down. A few months later, I sat on my screened porch, the same porch where I had heard Marcus and Darlene planning my life like I was not a person in it. Nothing dramatic was happening. A neighbor was cutting grass. Somebody's car alarm chirped twice and stopped. My coffee had gone cold because I kept forgetting to drink it. The guest room was still a guest room. The basement was still full of Christmas bins and tools I meant to organize. The house was quiet in a way I had once feared. Now it felt like mine. I realized then that I had not really fought to keep a house. I fought to keep the right to decide what happened in my own life. If Marcus had come to me honestly and said, I am in trouble, maybe I would have helped him. Maybe not. But at least the answer would have belonged to me. His debt did not end us. His assumption did. He treated my yes like something he already owned. And in a smaller, more loving way, Mama had crossed that same line. She had been right about the danger, but she still had to learn that protecting me did not mean taking my choices from me. That is what I carried forward. People who love you can ask. People who need you can ask. People who marry you can ask. But your answer still belongs to you. If you were 3 days from the wedding, would you have canceled it at the dinner or handled it quietly? Tell me where you would have drawn the line, and if this story kept you listening, like and subscribe for more family stories where the truth finally gets spoken out loud.